basically you started to play an instrument or the guitar, you know, from at what age?
Wow.
What was your
when I
influences?
actually think back about it, it could quite well be going back to 6 or 7 years old. My favourite auntie, my mum was one of 13. We used to visit, go to the countryside, the coast, you know, and end up back at their house. So the parents were having a drink, dinner, that kind of. I was behind the couch on my cousin's ukulele.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of got a feel for it back then. And then got a classical guitar. I actually got an electric organ as the first proper instrument at about 11. Then a guitar at 12. Let all the strings break. And kind of went off it. And then I wanted to do guitar again when we moved. I got to a new school. And my parents said they'd buy me a guitar if I'd do lessons. And the folk guitar, House of the Rising Sun, that was full, the class.
Okay.
Folk guitar. So I had to do classical guitar. And I was taught by a lord's son, Lord Cadden. And he used to come to the school once a week. And he's an Aston Martin DB5. And his handmade guitars. Really lovely chap, always late, and he'd walk into the room and I'm playing sort of Mud, Tiger Feet, all the pop hits of the early 70s, and he was appalled, you know, because you're supposed to sit there, you know, and come up and all the proper position, because he was always late. And then I decided I wanted an electric guitar, and was looking around for Christmas shops, you know, going to spend £90, something like this. And we were in a shop in Northampton, Peter Grave, I think the shop was called. And it was a Saturday morning, afternoon. And my mum had seen Jimi Hendrix in 1967. She went to see Engelbert Humperdinck, but he was on the same bill. There was this record company bill, 7 acts on the same, and she saw Jimi Hendrix. And she knew about it, and there was this fucking the guitar in the shop. It was a 1969-70 Les Paul Deluxe Sunburst, just the same as Pete Townshend's, that I was into at the time, and I just couldn't believe it. My mum said, just try that one. And all the cool kids in the shop Saturday morning like that, and I couldn't hardly play anything. And my mum says, we want that one. My dad went pale. Went to a cafe around the corner, calmed him down. My mum told him he was going to go. So yeah, at the age of 15, because my parents were by no means rich, they paid £318 for a brand new Gibson. And the fucking thing played itself. You know, those 70s are just such thin necks. It's just an absolute dream. Still got it.
It's still like, this guitar, I think, from as long as I can remember, every time I saw you guys play on stage.
Yeah, I think I must have got that maybe 81, 82. It was after the third album. I think the biggest compliment I ever got paid was probably by Connie Plank, because yes, when the war was going, I was a little boy, and he used to play the classical music on the radio, and I used to tell the valve radio, I used to turn the radio up full. This is your sound, this is classical, so it was distortion, yeah, so, you know, and I thought, wow, thank you, Connie. A genius he was, yeah, really lovely man, sadly missed. What I discovered is, if you've got a distorted sound and all the inherent harmonics with it, if you play a complex chord, the kind of chord will disappear because of the distortion. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, if I got a semi-acoustic, I could plug it in and put like a contact mic and mix acoustic and distorted. And I came across an old Gibson catalogue and I saw a picture of that fucker, and it's just like, get the wow. And one turned up in West London, that one, and I paid £640 for it. And just plugged it in, and there was the sound. you actually don't have to drive it that hard because it's just got so much overtone in it anyway. You get this cello-y kind of sound.
And it's in hollow body as well.
Yeah, hollow body. And I tried a hollow body with humbuckers on it once, and it's just all the little bits of plastic and springs. They just whistle. Pointless, but P90s hard bolted. Fucking hard bolted onto the decks.
Yeah.
And then you've just got the resonance, no whistles, etc., etc. And also on those, you've got that trapeze tailpiece, which a lot of people took off because the fucking thing moves around until you put very thin double-sided tape and you stick it to where it is. Because what you actually do, being a pressed and not a carved top, I'm actually pressing the bridge in as I'm playing, which drops the pitch. I can nearly drop the G string, a semitone, by just pressing. So you can actually be arpeggiating chords and doing like a vibrato, very mild pitch change. And ended up very quickly, I decided that guitar and that size piece of wood likes a D tuning. I'm sorry. When I play an E position chord, it's a D.
It's a D, yeah.
It's a concert, yeah. I've got 56 is on the bottom.
Yeah.
56 gauge and 13's on the top. Same tension as a light set, to be honest. And also too, because you're moving more metal, you're getting a bit more output out of it.
And which one on the top? You're on 11?
13.
13, yeah, so 13, 56, okay.
13 to 56. So,
and what about the other Gibson? Because you had another Gibson before, like the one from your parents you still had.
Because I am still a huge fan of the Who Live at Leeds, which is the SG with the P90s. And so, from the money I saved for the only 2 real jobs I ever had, I bought an SG Junior, first pickup one. And when we were rehearsing down in Cheltenham, we were staying at Jazz's parents. There was a fire at the flat in London. Long story, but anyway, we were playing our parents. And it was quite a long walk from his parents' house down to the rehearsal place. And the original Les Paul case, it was a 70s, really heavy, sharp handle, and I just wondered, I fucking can't be far. I'll just take the SG, which I had thought was a sort of a duller sounding guitar, and kind of got there, plugged it into an orange head, and then you just turn the volume down, you get that shilling, like that kind of Fendery.
Yeah.
You know, that really sort of just beautiful. I just fell in love with P90s, and originally, and then went straight round and put P90s into the Les Paul. Did the first 2 albums with that Les Paul.
Okay.
Apart from one song, half a song, you can hear, I think it might be This Is Madness. The guitar sound changed all because I was doing some feedback, leant over the amp, strap came off, snapped the headstock. Got a very good repair on it, you know, it's kind of a long split. And, but then again, it wasn't long after I started on those, and then just kind of toning amps and speakers around it. I've always stuck to 10-inch speakers.
Yeah.
I find a lot faster.
Are you playing 10-inch speakers? Or
10-inch, and Alnico magnets, you know, just very musical sounding. Yeah.
It's like
I've been down to Celestia. In fact, the amount of times I bought 16 10-inch speakers in front of me and used them for a bit. No, I don't like those. You know, I've had Fanes in, I've had different sorts of Celestians, but I'm using Jensen's at the moment.
Okay. Is it the Alnico one? Or?
Yeah, the Alnico. But I have been very impressed with the Jensen neodymium magnets for the studio. On this last album, I would say 60% of the guitar sound is actually a pair of Egnator Rebel 20s.
Yeah.
The little ones, where you can mix the valves. Little 1x12 cubes, which I sealed the ports. So it's actually a sealed cab, and I replaced the speakers that were in there with Jensen Jet Tornadoes.
Yeah,
with a neodymium remote, and that's so musical, weigh nothing, super efficient.
Yeah, but and lighter.
Oh god, this weighs nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely light. So I wouldn't mind at some point seeing what those sound like through the big rig, the 100 watt per side.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, how many do you have? Like
it's 16. There's 4 4x10s.
Are you still on 16? Okay.
I'm still on 16s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And which kind of
the guitar sing? Yeah, I want to see what happens when you're moving less air but more efficiently. Because what I'd ended up doing was probably swap the baffle boards out and make those 4 1x12s. Because I just like the sides, and that's why I can still hear. Because 10-inch cabs are shorter. You don't want to be fucking having cabs at ear level. You don't.
And yeah, we switched to the cab. So basically, what amps are you using on stage?
I'm using Framus Dragons.
Okay.
Yes.
And you always use that?
Not always. No, I didn't use them. I used to use a make of amplifier called Berman. Made in the northeast where I'm from, and I think he was the first guy that did the Cascade gain that everyone copied.
Okay.
And using KT77 hi-fi output valves, which really does mean the bass end is so tight. I've got those in the Framuses now.
Okay.
And I think the word's getting out. I'm hearing a lot of people are putting KT77s in their Marshalls. And there's a few issues. JJ valves, they do the KE77s, but they're doing a reissue Genelec, a Golden Lion. But yeah, the Berman's really lovely, but the design flaw was they used a military spec transformer, which weighed a fucking ton. Upside down chassis like a Fender. The chassis was 18 gauge mild steel. And they just fucking tore themselves to bits. That's why you don't find them. Because if they've been out and they've just torn themselves to fucking bits. I got given a preamp by Adam of the Sisters of Mercy. I'd never met him before, and I was going to the beginning of Berlin and go, I've got a present for you, something like that. And he fucking gave me a preamp. Because I'd had one before. Lost it. I'm looking for a pair. And I'm going to get inside the preamp, because the preamp's designed as an effects pedal, line level. But I saw the selector switch, and there's fucking big bunches of bananas of resistors, which you can bypass. Just I'll fucking bypass it, and you're going to get full whack. And yeah, have a look at some power amps. Just be nice, because when you get flown into festivals, you know, you'll put order, I want this, and you just never know what you're going to get. Be nice to get something a little smaller. Because I'm even thinking too, I think Dave, it's German, Blue Note or something, it's tiny, it's like the size of a fucking laptop drum machine.
Yeah.
And it's a 100 watt valve amp, valve front end, and he's plugged it in a couple of times. I'm like, ooh. Can work with this really, really good. And I could get 4 4x12 little cubes under 22 kilograms each, and you would not believe it. I think it's Blue Note. If he comes back in, I'll ask him. And then your back line is hand luggage. Yeah, we're going to Japan and Australia. You know, I don't want to worry about what's going to fucking turn up in fucking Adelaide. I've got the shit with me.
Yeah.
You're consistent. So yeah, still moving on.
Which is great. And of course, like in Killing Joke, like, you know, there's several guitar players, you know, you can say like their touch, you can you know, know it. But you, even like just the sound itself, like nobody sounds like your sound. Basically, nobody got like this. It's really like a mysterious sound to me, like your guitar sound. Killing Joke, you know, nobody does that. And nobody can approach that. So I guess a lot of that comes also from the pedal, what you're doing with the pedal, I think.
Well, no.
No?
I'm using very little effects. What I have been using since, first album, to be honest, I think I got it because I took youth down to Soundwave in Romford, and we bought the 5th ever made Trace Elliott.
Yeah.
A bass rig. Really lovely chaps, Fred, and I forgot the other guy's name. Forgotten. But really lovely chaps. And they were making this little automatic double tracker for bass players. I was like, and I tried it on the guitar. And it's, so what I've got, and still got them, is I've got a pair of them.
Yeah.
So it's one guitar in, 3 guitars out. So it's 1 in, 3 out, but they roll off frequency-wise at about 2.5K.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the Phil Spector effect, because you've got a single slap back from till you can't hear it. You've got a pitch modulation speed,
Yeah.
and then a pitch modulation depth. You know, sometimes you can hear that some of the modern jazz, really, it can do that. But if you set it just right, you're not getting chorusing, you're just getting a weave and detuning going all the time, both totally random. You know, and just all the diction, the high frequencies just in the main guitar. It was a story I heard. It was a friend of Phil Spector's, and Phil invited him down to the studio one day. It was a recording session. He goes, yeah, he invited me in to the recording room. He said there were 40 horn players in there. And he says, the worst, fucking most out of fucking tune noise he ever, just awful. And Phil Spector said, now come out here into the mixing room. And there was the fucking Philly sound. Sorry, Detroit sound. 8 really good guys were in the middle, and the mics were on them. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So all the cacophony and the out of tune and the fuck ups are all blended into the back, and that's where you got the space.
Okay.
Not dissimilar to detuning oscillators on synths either. You're getting brave there, aren't you?
Okay. And so so how better goes, you get what, like a chorus or like a...
Yeah, and then all I'm using is echoes.
Yeah.
Which I find handy just for the sake of the tap tempos. I got a present of a Pigtronics, but I've yet to sort of dig it out of its box and get, because that's an analog echo with tap tempo, but I wouldn't use it. I've fallen in love with it. I don't have a spare at the moment, so I'm just using the line 6 for tap tempos. But instantly, the first time I ever tried it, did not like digital remodeling in a guitar. Don't like it. So I'm using this German made called Lale. Sort of really well. I'm using their splitter box to go to the 2 amps, and I've got their little mixing, what's it called, an M loop.
Yeah.
So it's just very primitive but super well built little mixer. So the amplifiers get the direct sound, and I'm adding echo in on a mix at the front end. And I've got all the pedals is a master volume pedal, a send to echo pedal, which I rarely use. It's just I thought I'd have it there just to have, and then just an echo return on a foot pedal. And that's all it, and tune it.
Okay.
So that's all the effects.